top sports where the takes don't miss. The prof with the stats, the champ with the fist. Water bringing fire, cowboy, tie riding bold. Bulls calling bets, watch the stories unfold. And it's truly eyebrows running the show. It's high top sports, baby. Let's get it, let's go.
Good evening, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode of High Top Sports. It's been busy. We told you that it would be. Obviously, the big news today, and Billy Napier has been released from the Florida Gators as head coach. Billy Gonzalez, wide receiver head coach, steps in as the interim Russ Callaway to call the plays on offense. And boy, oh boy, do we have things to go over to talk about. Allie Peak joins the show. We're going to go over a little bit of a hot board action. I'm excited to go over that. David Swolder will be joining us. And if we get, how we always do on these shows, get a little rowdy, who knows who will join us. So stay frosty. We're going to have ourselves some fun. I do want to have a quick little opening monologue before we get into it. I was thinking, I was kind of reminiscing today about the past coaches that we've had. And when you think of Muschamp, right, like what did Muschamp leave us? When you think of Muschamp, what was something that he left kind of part of that program? What was his identity while he was here? And I think of a fiercey head coach that loved the game, that had a phenomenal defense, right? When I think of McElwain, it's humping a shark, and that's about it. And that he took Will Greer from me. That's all I've got for him on that one. And then, of course, Mullen left us Kyle Trask and a fantastic offense, a Kyle Pitts, right? Some positive things there. I think Billy Napier, what Napier did that may not be remembered as much, but I think it's bigger than all of those, is I think he did a phenomenal job of bringing back what it meant to be a Florida Gator to the players. I think they did a phenomenal job representing the logo, playing for more than just themselves, and that's why we saw this team for the last 2 years never quit. Regardless of all the noise, regardless of the struggles, these boys gave it 110% every single day. And that's something that, again, we got away from over the last decade of like putting this logo on means something. Putting this brand on your jersey, it means something. And I think Napier did a phenomenal job in that. And I think you're also seeing that, if you're on Twitter, the reaction from the players that genuinely love this dude. And I've said it before today, and I'll say it forever. I think this man lands on his feet and has major success. He had success at Louisiana, and I think that the growth that he had here in his 4 years, he's going to land somewhere very healthily because of all the things that he was able to learn here. And the reason why I was so supportive of him for 4 years, because it was an on-the-job kind of learning experience. And he learned, and he grew, and he grew, and he grew, but it got to the point where it just wasn't growing enough, obviously, and it was time to move on. We had fun with today with popping the champagne bottles. It's a cheers to a new era. But I will always be thankful for the Napier era. It was a growing period for us here at High Top. It was fun to watch. It had its laughs, its sadness. But again, wish him and his family nothing but the best, and for the staff. But it's time to move on. All right, enough sappiness around here. Allie Peak joins us. Allie, how you doing?
I'm doing great today. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm excited. I'm excited to talk about a lot of different things. Although you and I, we've been throttled in the comments that we don't appreciate anything and that we're never going to be pleased. But I think we're pleased right now, at least for the next 24 hours, until my mood changes tomorrow, and I'll be mad again, to quote it to some people. So.
I mean, I appreciate the fact that something was done eventually. I would have, to quote Jeremy Foley, would have liked it to have been done expeditiously, but here we are. So it was done eventually. And, now we move on. And, all jokes aside, Billy Napier's got a $21 million buyout. We don't need to feel bad for Billy Napier, you know,
sure.
and in reality, this is on him. He could have put his own ego aside and made changes on his coaching staff quicker, faster, handed over play calling, and he did not. So, will this make him a better coach in the future? Probably, because maybe he will revisit some of these decisions and do things differently moving forward. But, you can only feel so bad when you got $21 million to suck at football. We picked the wrong industry.
And look, again, that's why everyone's like, oh, the guy may have lost his job today. And I know he's sad. He loved playing at Florida. I'm sure he loved these kids. And I think that's the hard part, right? But at the end of the day, I was like, man, if I'm Billy, man, probably in a week from now, I'm cheersing the wife. Like, man, that was hell. Like, we
I've taken a year or two, too. Like, he's got young kids. And within the next 2 weeks, that 10 mil clears. And
Yeah.
that's not including what's already cleared for the past 3.5 years. So I'm maybe a stay-at-home dad that's coaching the middle school Pop Warner team for a little bit and enjoying my kids in the very limited amount of time I have with them while they are young, and not being in such a rush to see what's next.
Kind of won the lottery in a weird way with that sense of like genuinely I've seen him at the T-ball park watching my nephew and him coming up and trying to pick his kid up, and he's just swarmed. Like, I'm sure it's cool, but at the same time it's like you can be a normal dad for a little bit. Your kids are right at that perfect age where it's like, hey, like it's fun to be there. We see with Muschamp, but he's like, I don't want to be a coach. I kind of want to be bought in, and I respect that. I think that there's we'll see what he does. I think Napier is a coach through and through. He grew up in that world. I think if he gets a phone call tomorrow, I wouldn't be surprised if he's there, if he's on that next plane out. So, and I think he will. I really think that he lands on his feet very quickly.
He'll get called. He for sure will. Probably not as an offensive coordinator, but he's going to get called.
100%. So today was crazy. A lot of people were breaking the news faster than it kind of hit the mainstream media. Who would be the interim head coach was kind of back and forth. What was kind of, I mean, obviously we all knew pretty confidently what was happening. The next, obviously, we're moving on to the future on where the head coaching hire is. I've got a graphic that we'll pull up. I wanted to play the game of revealing it, but my share screen isn't working very well. It's Lane is obviously the number one, the name that we're hearing. That's really, I would say, surface to the top. I'm sure you're talking, we said before, talking to some people. Lane wasn't number one, although we were all screaming for it.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, I was agreeing with you. Yeah. As early as last week, or as soon as last week, he wasn't necessarily the hot name, but the number one name. He was a hot name in terms of the people that actually get a say anyway, but it seems like he's moved up.
Yeah. Like, again, keep in mind, he was a hot name for us, right? For the people, the fans who care, who just like love, who watches, like we just watch this for fun, right? The ones that are actually making the decisions, he wasn't as high as we all would have liked him to be from what we were gathering. Now it seems like they may be watching the show. they're taking tips from the show.
Thank goodness, right? They should have asked us a long time ago. Might have saved him some time.
We know what we're doing here. Look, let's get into it. We're gonna get Swolder here in just a minute, but I do want to talk about this. So keep in mind this. I'm gonna this is a list here that's fun, but then also some seriousness. All right. So first one is Lane, right? And then if it's not Lane, it's still Lane, right? And then if it's not Lane.
Just that Lane.
It's still 2.0. It's still Lane, and if it's not Lane 3.0, it's Juice Kiffin, because then Lane would have to come because he has to take care of his dog. Okay,
right.
So those are my first 4 options as head coach. And honestly, we're kind of on this like high, this buzz, but I think we're probably going to settle down a little bit. And really, I think we need to take a true approach to this of like, hey, are these the right options? I think we'll have plenty of time to discuss it, but we'll have some fun right now. The names that I'm hearing. I got a fresher list today. Are Lane, Drink, Fran, and Brent Key. I think Marcus is circling, but I feel like the Marcus one is he's utilizing like us as like a toy more than like leverage, more than truly No.
No, I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just listening and taking it all in here.
So I put would be a pleased with. This is me personally. I don't know about how you guys feel. I know the Drink people are kind of 50-50. I like Drinkowitz. I personally like him. I think he's got a little bit of a quirkiness to him that I don't mind. In a way, again, I don't know if you guys saw Andy Staples. Did you see his video? His quote?
I didn't, but I texted with him a little bit earlier. So I feel like I know where he's thinking.
Yeah, he's not, again, I don't think this was a shot because he's a Gator. So he's speaking from a Gator. But he goes, all Florida fans want is a spiritual successor to Seaspur. They want a coach who wears a visor, scores points, and talks shit. I mean, yeah. But we also want to win, Andy, okay? I think, like, I thought of this, and I go, look, Muschamp had a little bit of this. He wore the visor, I think, at times. He had kind of a little bit of an aura. He talked shit. He just didn't score a lot of points. Muschamp, McElwain, we're not going to discuss that. Mullen wore a visor, scored a lot of points, and talked a little bit of shit. Yeah, he did. It just wasn't nearly as clean as Lane. So we've always kind of, I would say, flirted with that. Billy was the complete oppo of your typical Florida coach. But I would say Eli fits right into that. Eli is kind of like a mixture, I would say, of Muschamp, and because he has that kind of a little bit fiery to him, like a weird, like when that just came out of nowhere. And I like him. Freeman would be pleased with. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say, I don't mind Drinkwitz. I think if we end up with Eli, it's very obvious that we got turned down by somebody else. I
Sure.
think he would do better than Napier would do here, and I do. While I think it's impressive what he's done at Missouri, I would caution everybody to go ahead and pull up Missouri's schedule the last few years and tell me that you couldn't be the head coach of a team making them 10-2 with the way that their schedule has lined up. And that's not, I'm not trying to take away from him as a coach. I do think what he has done at Missouri is still impressive, but I don't think he would have the same record if Missouri played Florida's schedule instead.
Real quick, I see the chat. The chat chooses to use his eyes and not ears sometimes. This list that you were seeing is my fun list. Okay, there are names on here that are being considered, and I said the four that I know, and I'll ask Allie what names she's hearing. As for the level of where it's at, I mean, it's just there's four names that I'm hearing, but I still think that there's other names being thrown around and being talked about, and that's where I'm putting them where I think they would fit best
Yeah.
and how I view them. You can move them wherever you like. And so your point to that about Eli of his schedule for the last 2 years, I would argue the same for Marcus Freeman, to be quite honest with
Yeah.
you. I don't feel like that schedule has
Yeah.
been completely daunting either. And that's
Yeah.
why a lot of people are high on Marcus and they would argue for reasons for Marcus. I think that Notre Dame's a phenomenal coaching job. I think
Yeah.
it's one of the powerhouses of college football. No one talks about Mizzou. You've talked about Mizzou for the last 2 years, and that's credit to Eli Drinkwitz. And I think he's done a good job recruiting there. Notre Dame recruits itself. So those are the things that I like about Eli. If we want to talk about, again, the schedule, they've both have had a similar, I would say, easier path than others.
Sure. Which, to be fair, everybody's had an easier path than Florida the last 2 years.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. I mean, we've played the toughest schedule in the country twice in a row. And with Freeman, I know you said your hearing might be kind of jerking us around a little bit. I did hear that there is truth to the fact that he doesn't get a say in his offense and defensive coordinator, or at least not the deciding factor in who his offense and defensive coordinator is. And I do think that that's interesting. And let's be real, you can't recruit the same type of talent at Notre Dame as you can lots of other places. And I'm talking in terms of academics or in terms of maybe extracurriculars you participated in high school. We tend to be a lot more forgiving on the resume at the University of Florida or lots of other schools. And
Bless your heart. I love
bless your heart. We believe in second chances. So, I could see where that could be a factor too.
Okay. And also keep in mind, I think, and part of my list for this is where I feel like the fan base, because of the noise, we bite the cookie quick. And Freeman and Eli kind of fit into this category. Again, when I talk about splash hires, right, or a first round draft pick, obviously we all have Lane in that first category. That's why there's a big gap. I put Marcus and Eli in that same category of a splash hire because of what they've been able to do. You may disagree with me, that's fine. This next bunch that we're going to get into, real quick, the joke is kind of brewing because I didn't get to put it out there last. I said who UF is actually going to hire. I put James Franklin. Like, that was me just like them like not reading the room at all. I hope that doesn't happen at all. But let's get to this next three bunch, because these next three, Ratlache, which is a name that I haven't really talked about it too much. I could take it or leave it. Out of these three, he's my least favorite. I don't hate nor like. I would be okay with it. Again, we're getting deep into the weeds at this point. Fran Brown
UF has had that happen before. We ended up with Jim McElwain as our head coach. So
this is why we have list. This is why we have list. Fran Brown and Brent Key, I like a lot. I think they're not complete. Hey, grow on the job. Again, we're follow along. Sometimes we don't listen. Mm-hmm. We're past the three up there. Okay, we're moving on. Mm-hmm. Fran Brown, Brent Key, he's done a good job, I think, at Georgia Tech. Very similar to what Eli's done at Mizzou. Recruited well, won a handful of games, lost some few, but look great this year. They've found ways to win. Great trenches guy, which I would love. Talks a little smack, keeps it kind of PG, a straight shooter, if you will. Fran Brown, he's extremely young, and I think some would say he's growing on the job. I think that, yes, there's some truth to that. When Steve Spurrier, coach of the year last year, had Kyle McCord looking like a Heisman for half of the year last year, more than likely got him drafted, was balling this year till his quarterback went down. I like Fran because he recruits his tail off, was the number one recruiter while at Georgia. Okay, this guy would come into the SEC, recruited Calvin Russell, 5-star, up to Syracuse. Again, reaching deep into the pockets, I would be a big fan of Fran if we got to this level. What are your thoughts?
If we got to this level, we have some serious
Okay,
incompetence
okay.
going on
So
at the University
should I
of
just
Florida.
cut this part of the list?
I don't dislike Fran Brown. I think that it would require on the job training. I don't think what it takes to be successful at Syracuse is the same of what it takes to be successful at Florida. I think he could be successful there one day. I'd like to see him make a jump to some intermediary before. I don't know. I just think before you're going from Syracuse to Florida is a massive jump, and I would like to avoid that. We did that, and I guess even a larger jump when we went from Louisiana to Florida for Napier. I think that even Colorado State to Florida was too big of a jump for McElwain. I would let's avoid that. Let's
Sure.
I would rather a
You
more
Brent and
sure.
Red, would you put in a
So
similar
I
jump?
actually did some research on Brent Key. He ironically played college ball with a neighbor of mine growing up, and then was a GA with him at UCF. And I texted with him, and he basically told me he's a great guy, really knows ball. He thinks he's an incredible coach, and that he would be decent at Florida. I think for me, Brent Key would probably be a more successful Billy Napier. I think we would win more ball games, but they would still all be won by 3 to 7 points. And I don't know if the cardiac health of the Florida fan base is in a place where we can handle that. And so that is why I would have concerns with that hiring. Would I hate it? No, I wouldn't hate it. I'd put my big girl panties on, celebrate it, be excited for the next tenure, but I would love a splashier hire.
Look, again, we're deep into the list here. And honestly, I got James down here messing around. I would, if James were to be hired, although I wouldn't be a fan personally, but I would, put my big girl pants on too and be supportive of it, because the guy has shown success at Penn State. Again, you could argue it's like, well, they won 10 plus games every year, but against 2. And he's done a good job recruiting there at Penn State. It would be a splashier hire. It would be higher level than those 3 names that we mentioned there.
Sure.
Again, when you get down to this level, you're taking a gamble.
So, the positive I could see with Franklin is that you wouldn't have to pay him all that much money, because he's getting $8 million a year from Penn State regardless. So could you come up with a scenario where you're only paying him $4 or $5 million? He's still one of the highest paid coaches yearly in college football, but Florida isn't taking the brunt of that financially. I mean, I could see a scenario where Florida thinks that is in some way beneficial. I just look at James Franklin kind of like I look at a Mark Richt. I think they struggle getting over that final hump. You're probably going to win 10 games a season, but you're rarely going to win more than that. And I guess today's Florida fan might be pumped about that, because that's a far cry from where we've been the last few years. But I still think that they want more than that. So I think it would be an improvement. I think pretty much everybody on this list, unfortunately, is an improvement, including Juice, over Billy Napier. But I think there's obviously some that you can separate out that get Florida to the promised land faster.
There isn't an ounce in me that wants James, but I'm being reserved in my comments, because there's a fear that Florida's going to look and be like, well, there's no buyout, and just pull a card and be like, well, this is a healthy hire. So I'm like being reserved of, like, I put it down there jokingly, but I feel like we should stay away from that with a 10-foot pole. And then just my personal wish list is Cliff Kingsbury. There's no way it happens, but again, this list is just me having some fun, a little bit of fun here. Let's I think it was fun. I think we had healthy dialogue. There's other names. Jeff Brom's been thrown around because of Louisville. Kenny Dillingham is another one that I like that I forgot to put up here. I would put him right in, but there'd probably be another category. I put him between the Fran Brown list and the Eli list, personally. Your thoughts?
Yeah. I don't hate the idea. He is an ASU, grad. And so, taking him away from family, I think Florida's a much better job than Arizona State, but sometimes you can't argue with emotion. So that would be the hump to get over there, which, money talks. So if we could pay him, I'm sure he'd get over the fact that he doesn't have rocks for his front yard anymore. Um,
You don't have to mow the yard, which is
but
nice.
but I'm
How
telling you,
how do you
I'm just
how do
on
you
the Laner
feel?
train right now.
What's your gut feeling? And we'll ask Swolder. Welcome to the show, big guy. We got 1,000 strong, boys and girls. Smash the like button. A couple super chats I'm going to read here in just a minute. But scale of 1 to 10, we all want Lane. I think that's been settled. But where do we feel on landing Lane in the middle of October? It's the day after we're all in this like Christmas high. Is it just the eggnog speaking? Where are we at here?
I think the fact that the athletic director from Missouri says he'd like to get a deal done as opposed to just waiting until he had a deal done and announcing it is interesting, because to me that's signaling to the fan base, hey, if he doesn't stay, at least I have done everything that I could to try and keep him here. He said that a couple days ago, and we haven't had an announcement that there's a deal done, which is also um, interesting to me. And then when Lane's been asked about it, he's very much I'm just focused on the here and now. I don't pay attention to what goes on there. That's not my department. Well, it is your department, because at the end of the day, it is your decision. And you could very well say, I'm going to be in Oxford till I retire. I love it here. Juice is going to be buried in the property that I own currently. Like, my grandchildren are going to run around the backyard. I'm here for life. And none of those words have come out of his mouth. So I don't know. 93 million, 7-year contract. Stadium and Gale. Are you telling us that's what Lane's contract is going to be, or that's what the offer is?
Dan's been hot on trail with breaking news. Okay, I'm just letting y'all know the guy hasn't missed as of late. I don't know if it's Dan, aka Gary's been deep in his bag. A flip has switched. He had the loafers on Saturday. My man,
he did the press box or the president's box rubbing elbows.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, he goes. I'm tired of playing games. I'm clocking in. It's been too long.
That's why we got what we wanted.
I know what it is.
He went in there laying the law down.
Dan is trying to pay for that hair transplant right now, so he needs all the info he can put out there.
From one hairless guy to another. Take it easy. Take it easy. Dan, you're always welcome to hop on the show, big guy. These Sunday shows are rabid, but I think you're spot on, Allie, with how the not saying anything is the worst case scenario if you're an Ole Miss fan. Yeah. Look, even if he's using it,
fans melting down on social media too have been fantastic.
I love it, and they were very confident a few weeks ago. Because again, if I'm Nebraska, I'm sweating my boots with how Matt Rule's been handling it. Now, at least he did come out after his entire 25-minute love speech for Penn State and said that I want to build here. I don't plan on leaving. Yeah. They should feel a little better. But at least he said, I'm not leaving. Even Dan Lanning did this last year. He dropped a whole mixtape saying, I'm not leaving Oregon. It is very easy for Lane to end this conversation in 20 seconds saying, I'm an Ole Miss head coach. I plan to stay at Ole Miss. I'm not even playing. I'm staying at Ole Miss. My boots are on the ground here. Next question. But he keeps putting off of this is some presidential election, he can't talk about it. It's what dude, you run the show.
Let's talk about everything else, though.
Yeah, you called Kirby fat.
Literally.
You can talk about it, all right? He
put the ball on no less than 5 social media posts in the last 3.5 weeks.
Oh, brother. Davey, welcome to the show, big guy. What juice do you have for us? I know your phone's been ringing off the hook. You were on TV earlier. What do you got?
Well, first of all, shout out. I'm gonna give the shout outs on the Wednesday show because the actual people that are in the chat, whatever, the high top people, I'll give them the shout out of the best day of the week because they deserve the best day of the week. Dan's just been all over the place. You shout him out. You're gonna see him on social media. Yeah, I hung out with Dan for a little bit Saturday. A couple other people there as well, and Dan's a cool guy to hang out with. I didn't realize how cool of a guy he was.
Loafer Dan's a different kind of Dan.
Yeah. I mean, it was funny. I mean, just the feel and the vibe around Gainesville. And I talked to a lot of people when I was down there, and there's a lot of Lane Kiffin smoke everywhere, lots of Lane Kiffin smoke. And anytime I've asked somebody that was working somewhere or somebody that knew somebody at Florida, they were talking Lane Kiffin. They didn't say Marcus Freeman. They didn't say any other name. The whole thing was Lane Kiffin. So I'll just put that where it is. If you want further info on anything, join the High Top Premium Discord. You'll get all the other info there. I posted some nuggets on the forum part of the Discord as well, and of course we have pretty much voice chats every morning. I try to get a voice chat in there and just to see if anybody wants to just shoot the hooch or like ask a question or anything like there. So yeah, there's just a lot of noise right now. And like, look, I even said it when I was on TV, by the way. I was on a TV news station.
I thought boys
But when yeah, it was on Spectrum. It was a Spectrum one that's in Tampa. But um, I even said it. I was just like if Florida does wind up hiring Lane Kiffin, they're going to blow the roof off of Gainesville. Like that's going to be the solid hire that people have wanted for the longest time. And Allie was here. And she's like, we don't want somebody that wants to learn on the job. We don't want somebody that's like an up and coming coach. Like we need to get a proven coach, and it looks like they're trying to do that now. Dan came on here, I think it was last week, and said they were doing some shuffling in the UAA, and that is actually a true fact. I found out when I was down there this weekend as well. So it looks like from everywhere that every person that I've talked to, it's like looks like Florida is starting to get serious about the football program now.
All positive
Well,
things
Nice to hear.
from the Swolder there. That was boots on the
like,
ground.
Look. That is not any sunshine and rainbow talk either. It is not.
You Disney Gator.
I know. Well, he's more of a Disney Gator than me. I'm more of a realist. He likes to,
I know.
he likes to sit there and he likes to think everything is fine sometimes. And he's like that guy. You ever see that meme with a guy who's like carrying the coffee mug and he's like, "This is fine." Sometimes
Yep.
that's Shelton. I have to bring him down a peg.
It's always fine,
You know
boys.
what's really annoying is that Eric was right way before I was willing to admit. Somebody texted Eric today and said, "Be honest, were you the last $5 needed to secure the firing?" And Eric texted back and said, "No, I was the first $5 donated to secure the firing 2.5 years ago."
Yeah, when
His $5
when
hit the dono plate before he even got there.
Literally.
when so I will say who it was. It was somebody that works at UF. When you're talking to somebody that works at UF and they tell you they don't know what's going to happen next week, then you pretty much know.
Yeah.
All right, couple things. Nick or Dan is tired, so he's texting me a few things here because I want to approach this. Somebody, I lost it. Where'd it go? Oh, here it is. Oh no, did I lose it? Here it is. Then we're gonna read the super chats because I love you guys showing your love. We're gonna talk about this 90. Here's the order. I'm gonna ask this question. We're gonna do super chats, and then we're gonna talk about the 93 million. All right. So sit back, relax. It's gonna get nasty. This question I think is fair. When in a world where everyone's on board with Lane, there's still a group of people that are hesitant of Lane and ask this question. And I think it's good. I think we should have these open dialogues. I know it's all like choo choo. Oh. Listen, I'm all aboard. Listen, y'all. If you haven't seen the t-shirts we're gonna make, we're all aboard the Lane train. All right. I want 90. Listen, boys, 90,000 strong. Just screaming into a wooden choo choo horn is all that I want for Christmas. Okay,
This is cowbells. We've got train horns.
Could you imagine? I mean, you think that place is loud now. All right, I have Valley Plains. What is the fetish? Interesting word of choice there. For Kiffin, all about. He's a great social media troll. How great is an understatement. He's a phenom. And a very good offensive coordinator. He's not even the offensive coordinator. He's just great at hiring good offensive coordinator because Charlie Weiss Jr. is his offensive coordinator.
Yeah.
He cannot win the big game. He's never won anything. I don't get it. Does someone want to go first on addressing this, or Allie's got it? All right, go ahead, Allie. I can see it in her eyes.
I will. So I think Lane Kiffin has come a long way. I think when he took the head coaching job at Tennessee, that job was too big for him at the time. I think he conflated the need to be sassy with the need to be successful before you could be, an asshole, essentially. I think he wanted to be Spurrier. That is who his idol is, but he hadn't gotten there yet. I think he's learned a lot along the way. And I think that now that he has learned those life lessons, he is at a place where there is a ceiling. And I acknowledge that in NIL times, things operate slightly differently. I still think that there is a ceiling for Ole Miss. And even if they did end up winning a title, it would be a once in a blue moon kind of opportunity as opposed to coming to a place like Florida where you could compete for championships on a regular basis if you did things the right way. And so I think he hasn't been in a position to win the big game since growing up, essentially. And I think being at Ole Miss does limit that. Imagine Lane with all of the talent of the state of Florida, a better NIL budget, an athletic department that doesn't operate in the negatives, a full stadium. That's something he's complained a lot about at Ole Miss. I think you could see him be really successful. Now he's going to have to hire a really good defensive coordinator, because that is something that Lane has always had a question mark with, is his defenses. And so has he learned enough to make a stellar hire and then get the hell out of the way? That will be the question. But anybody that we potentially hire, there's going to be
A flaw.
some question marks. Yeah.
And every name on that list and every name that you can throw at me outside of 4 names, and I'll get to those 4 names in a minute, haven't won the big one. That's kind of the point. Ryan Day was on the seat until he finally got over the hump and won the big one. Sometimes it just takes a little bit of push and going into the right direction to get over to the big one. You have to hire you got to buy a stock at the right time with as little error as possible and hopefully get over it, right? And again, I think that kind of back to Andy's comment of like, we want a superior successor that talks shit and wears a visor. There is some truth to that. We want a little bit of fire on the sideline. It helps just the Florida fan base get through our Saturdays and keeps us rowdier than normal. But I think that's the biggest thing, is that we've seen him grow up. We've seen him take Ole Miss, a program that used to be a walk-on. It wasn't like we were talking about our homecoming game. That was a homecoming game. Ole Miss was a homecoming game because you didn't think about it. Now Ole Miss is a legitimate contender. Yeah, they lost in a dogfight at Georgia, who was on a 16-game win streak this year, until losing to a really good Alabama team. And it came down to the wire, like you said. With this, if you look at on paper, this Ole Miss team, they should not be who they are this year. And that's a massive credit to what Lane's been able to do. And I think, honestly, what he's been able to do this year is more impressive to me, of like, yeah, we got to go get the man, than what he did last year. I feel like he laid an egg last year, personally. And Eli hasn't won the big ones. Anytime he's faced with adversity, he's choked it away. The 4 names that I said that have won the big one, and one of them is, you can put kind of an asterisk, but it's obviously Ryan Day, Kirby, and Dabo. And Dabo is in a weird place.
I mean, Dabo would be the most likely out of those, but I don't. Has Dabo's time passed him by? I don't know.
Yeah, and like Dan Lanning's a big name. He's in that same boat. I mean, he's had he's kind of the golden child. That guy got into a golden job with every possibility of resource he could possibly have, and is falling short. And again, I'm not hating on the guy, but like, if we're gonna be nitpick here, he's fallen short. Kurt Singetti was the other name. I feel like he's done a pretty good job of winning some big ones here over the last. I mean, he's only been there for 2 years, so it's hard to even say if he's had many opportunities. But taking down Oregon the way that he did on the road, and they had a big win last year. I know they lost in the playoffs last year too, but he has shown some fight when it comes to get after it, and to maintain some success in Indiana like he has is very complimentary too. So, Dave, do you want to answer this, or I feel like we kind of crossed everything? Is not much, but give you maybe you surprise me like you always do. Yeah, it's tough. There's 3 of us. It's hard. We all think the same.
No, I'll take what everything Allie said, and I'll raise it with the fact that Lane Kiffin has won at every program he's been at. Of course, we all know the Tennessee debacle. That was at the beginning of his head coaching career. But
USC
at Florida
too.
Atlantic, he had it. Yeah, well, at USC, but he had a .65 or .651 win percentage at USC, a .675 win percentage at Florida Atlantic. Got him to a good bowl games. Got him a couple of
than Billy Napier.
Huh?
So I mean, he got
Better than
fired
Billy
at that
Napier.
job, but he was still doing a better job at it.
And at Ole Miss, he's the second most winningest coach in Ole Miss history. He's at 50-19 right now with a .725 win percentage record. And the thing is like, if you look just at his Ole Miss tenure, he's had 3 double-digit winning seasons right there. And if the playoff was expanded by that time, he'd have been in the playoff 3 times. And he's probably going to be in the playoff for a 4th time unless something happens and he hits tumbleweeds. So it's like, okay, well, he's done that with 20, 25th, and 30th ranked talent profiles. Like, Ole Miss does not recruit the talent that all these other top SEC programs do, and they don't have the NIL funds that some of these top SEC programs do. And I think if you're going 50-19 just at Ole Miss with that kind of talent, Think at the talent that you could get at Florida and where you could go with that.
Mr. Nobody brings up a good point, and then we'll move on from this. Lane lost to the worst coach in Florida history. Are we really drooling over Lane?
No, that is such a dumb. I hate it when people take one data point and they don't look at the overall thing. Cool, he lost to Billy Napier.
yeah,
Who
Dave
cares,
fired up.
right?
I love it.
Okay, what did Billy Napier do? He has a .489 win percentage in 4 years. He's 21 and 23 or 22. I don't know. I guess he got that win. I think it's 22 and 23, something like that.
Marcus lost
yeah,
to NIU or who was it? NIU. Everyone has a bad day, you know?
Out of the 24 head coaches, now I'm not counting interims. Out of the 24 head coaches that have been hired at Florida, he's ranked 20th all time.
So I just did a little quick math. So you said Lane Kiffin was 50 and 19, right?
Yeah, I'm glad I was going to
To
address
match
this too.
that winning percentage, Billy Napier would have to win 38 straight games to match the winning percentage of Lane Kiffin.
And
So-
Lane played in the SEC. Maybe not the same schedule, but
and he
still,
played in the SEC.
still played in the
So,
SEC.
just, I can also do math and talk football. So
But that's the
Dang.
thing. Like,
What do they
okay,
call
he
you? What
lost-
is it, dumb bimbo? Is that what your nickname is on the?
But my thing is like this. He lost to Billy Napier last year, right? Billy Napier's supposed to beat him. He has way more talent than he does. Would he have? I guarantee you, if he'd have played Billy Napier this year, he probably would have crushed him.
Yeah, Billy G's
It'd be
got his
interesting.
number. We're winning out.
it'd be interesting to break down his losses and who had the better talent on the roster. And I'm sure he's beaten some teams that he had less talent than, but I would wager that most of the places he lost to had a higher talent percentage than him. Georgia and Alabama both do.
He beat Georgia by 2 touchdowns last year.
Yeah, I'm talking about this year, but yes.
Yeah, we've never done that. All right, let's read some super chats, and then we're gonna get into the $93 million thing. $5. I found High Top in Napier's first season. Feels surreal to come first circle. Great job, Phils. It's been a crazy kind of That's listen. I remember we kind of like got started when Mullen was still playing. Like our first video that really got going, we talked about Anthony Richardson because Anthony was gonna win the Heisman that year, as all of our quarterbacks are. And then we really got into it with the Napier stuff, and that's where I kind of I would say got my feet wet. $2. Stop bringing up the past. We're on the Lane train. These are all old, so I apologize. I think some of this when I was on my eulogy earlier on. Ira Jones, $2. Please keep James 4-1-21 Franklin off the list. Yeah, that's a big thing with James. Like his winning record against top 25 teams is atrocious.
Not good.
It's
Bad.
some of the worst out there. Brian Fisher, $2. Any coach winning 10 already can win more at UF. And again, that's where I put the Eli up there. The guy's winning 10 games at Mizzou. Marcus is winning 10 games. I think that was it. Oh, I mean,
Tim Brando's not having a good night.
That guy's kind of weird, man. Like it's like he just like all of a sudden like woke up and was like just irate about it. I was like, dude, what are you?
I thought
doing?
it was funny that comment you said he's done more commentary just on Twitter.
Play by play. Yeah, it's like, what are we doing? $2 from Larry Cox. Lane can take us to the promise landed. Yes, he can take us to the promise landed.
You know what though? When people are really worked up about it though, that means they just don't want it to happen.
Yeah, especially it's like Brandon. What does this have to do with you? $5. Joshua. Never forget when Lane was the head coach of Tennessee. He said that he was gonna beat us and he was gonna sing Rocky Top all night long.
Yes,
He buys
Urban Meyer wanted to beat his ass.
He wants to buy into the program. I respect that. Like wherever you are, you burn whatever you.
We didn't say he wasn't an asshole. We said we want him to be our asshole.
Yeah,
Right.
It's like one of those situations where it's like, I hate this guy. I don't want to play with him, but when he's on your team, you love him. Like that's exactly what it is. If he's not on your team, just miserable. I hated him last year when we played him. I loved beating him last year. I thought it was awesome.
It's kind of like when like Hulk Hogan joined the NWO, everybody didn't like him, but then when he went back to the red and yellow, they loved him. Like like he was the ultimate. He came back. Probably a bad representation of what I need to say, but still, I mean, like it's wrestling.
It's same thing.
It's fake
Same
wrestling.
Thing. Yeah, Hulk and Lane are the same. Brody, $5. Hey Billy, get your A out of here or whatever Tom Petty says. $5 from Firm Handshake. Love when we get the peak inside High Top team up. Now if we can only just announce broadcast every game, maybe we can get some replays and clearer cameras. Yeah. Am I alone on this? Or Dave, you went to the game. Did you watch the game? Is the coverage atrocious?
Oh, well, I was at Pig Jig and the satellite coverage there was horrific. And so I got to watch, like, I don't know, every 10th play. So I wasn't sure if it was the satellite or it was the cameras, but I did see many a social media posts talking about it being recorded on iPhones.
Oh,
So
it's just it's awful. It's like weekend. It's a couple every few weeks. It feels like $2 from Anthony just joined. Jeff Brom. Thoughts on that while we're here from the Louisville head coach? It's Lane. Okay, thank you guys for your input there.
Yeah, pretty much.
$5.
You notice the silence.
Dave doesn't know who Jeff Brom is.
Yeah, Jeffrey. Yeah, of course. Yeah, I don't know who that is. I just watched him bully Miami. Okay.
Yes, we did.
Yeah, I was
fun.
very drunk too. I was very drunk at Spurriers yelling at the TV over that roughing the passer call.
You like Jeff Brom? Where you put him in our fun list? Allie?
Fun list?
Or-
I would put him up there. I would put him up there. I'd put him top 5 fun list.
Allie?
I mean, I'd be willing to talk to him. I don't know if I would put
Okay.
him in my top 5, but I'd for sure put him in my top 10.
I was talking fun. Is there a real list
fun,
and then a fun
or,
list?
Oh, I thought you were talking about a real, like, we might hire list. Fun list? I mean, I don't
Like
know.
this list, like this fun list. Like what category is he in?
Yeah, because I thought like
get a little closer to even see these faces here.
Maybe
I'd
he's
put
in a
him-
different category from what you said.
I mean, I think he's probably below Brent Key, but before Fran Brown for me. I don't
Okay.
know.
All right. Fair
yeah,
enough.
Shelton, me and Allie are getting old. We have to scoot up to see that stuff.
I hear
I
you.
literally had to scoot up to see the pictures on
She
there.
had put her glasses on. She's squinted. So
Which is
$5.
funny because I usually good vision, but I don't know.
$5 from Zero. Lane is the king at Ole Miss. He would be a god at Florida. All right, easy. $5. I think Lane could be an emotional overcompensation. Billy Bland, no offense. Lane brash, good offense, but is he the right fit? I feel like we kind of addressed this. I think it's a healthy question though, Allie.
I mean, don't we do this every single time we lose a coach? Like we went from Muschamp to McElwain, from McElwain back to Mullen, from Mullen back to Napier. That is literally the emotional roller coaster right there. And so like now it's time for us to get a brash guy. That's where we are in this cycle. So let's pick a good
Just
one.
let us be unhealthy. I think
Come on.
I think 2 years ago, I think it would have been more of an overreaction, and we would have got he would have fit this a little bit more. I don't feel like he's as brash as he once was. I feel like he's more tactical in his smack talk.
It's
and
a slightly more subtle sarcasm that we're getting now.
yeah, you can't. You listen. The dog's gotten older, but you ain't gonna take the dog out of him. You want that's what you want. You want that killer instinct, like we complained about it. And again, I think that's why it just feels so perfect because the Lane thing isn't new. That's always been a thing to Florida. And I was always against it because of all the things that we have addressed today. But I think he's, in a way, has grown out of it. Junior, $10, my man. Ray Charles can see what's going on. Feeling his mutual Lane to the swamp. $10 for Stephen Lee. Lane's first smug. If you ain't a Gator, your Gator bait is gonna slap. I mean, I can't imagine the amount of. If I know if we had Lane when he called Kirby fat, I would have had a heyday. I would have had a heyday. But in the timeout call yesterday, did you see that? Where he's like,
yeah,
I'm
that was
clapping.
gold. That was amazing. Like, this is why I need you to be my head coach. You are.
We don't even want to
hysterical.
win. We just want to have fun on Saturdays, okay? That's what we want.
Well, you know what the funny thing was? So I was in the crowd, so like they're booing and chanting "Fire Billy" like the last minute of the game, right? And then Mississippi State calls that stupid. I don't even know why they threw the ball, and then it gets intercepted, and then they erupt, and then I was just like, "What? They threw the ball?" And then after that, everybody's cheering, and then Billy Napier goes to run through the tunnel, and then it started booing again. I was like, "Why is everybody?" Because I didn't see Napier running through the tunnel, but then I heard like booing, and I was like, "What happened?" And they were like, "Napier ran through the tunnel." I was like, "Oh."
I can't believe they threw that. I think Levy was trying to give you Napier one last hope because there was no reason to throw the ball there.
Yeah, I was shocked. I
was
thought they were just
actually-
going to run it and then kick the
That was
field
the
goal.
perfect victory for Florida, though, because we still won, which we all root for Florida, regardless of. I root for the program. I root for the players. I don't care. It doesn't affect me whether or not who the head coach is. You know, I don't ever root against anybody. I'm rooting for Florida to win and for these players. But I got to tell you, there's not a more perfect ending to win, but have all of his deficiencies be so glaringly obvious that they don't get overlooked because it's a win.
It was 100%. It was like the perfect win for sure. This is going to be on T-shirts very soon.
And by the way, the Miami fan that's in this chat, guess what? You didn't beat my coach.
Oh, that's right.
It's true. Yeah, Mike.
Our coach is undefeated.
Yeah, I love it. Chandler Scarborough. My infamous quote gets to die now. On Billy's worst day, he scores 21, which he did yesterday, and it was literally his worst day. I feel like once again, $2, 10-2 with a coach. With a coach with emotional sounds great right now. With emotion sounds great right now. It does. It really does. So that $93 million, let's talk about this for a minute. That Stadium Miguel, our guy Dan, threw in there. I don't have any context to it, but I did the math. I did a little calculation.
By the way, I'm experienced. Dan can drink. He can drink.
You saw the loafers. He's not playing around.
Oh yeah. Hey, yeah. He don't play around. No. Hell no. Oh, there's another David S in the chat too. It's not me, I promise.
That would put him at the $93.7 million, which again I'm assuming is what's being probably spoke about, right? And I said this. I don't know at this point when I said it, but I go, Florida's going to have to pay regardless of where they go, and kudos to Lane and Sexton, but the man's going to get paid, and this is why Florida has to get it right because
Sexton's essentially negotiating against himself, so.
Brilliant. The guy's a genius. I don't know how he does that. I wonder if he has a couple hats or something like that, or like if he talks in third person. I can only imagine. But when Kurtz and
I
Getty,
don't know, Jimmy, you're gonna have to do better. Well, Jim, that's all I got for you. I don't like. How does this work?
How? I see Steve in the chat. How upset is Steve? Is Steve upset or is he happy or?
Harris?
Where's he at right now?
Steve?
Yeah,
he's a Gator, baby.
He don't ever answer my phone calls or return my texts, so I don't ever know.
You came after him. You got a lot of making up to do. The fact that Kurt landed himself the third highest paying coach. I said this. I was like, Lane's done more than Kurt. And Lane wants to kind of, in a way, poo on Kirby. Like, this is going to be kind of his last laugh, and he knows he can get it. He is at the all-time mighty right now. So that $7 million would put it, I think it was 13.5, I think the math came out to be. Let me make sure I got it right.
13.285.
Kirby's is 13.282.
So
you mean to tell me, bro, Lane is trolling in his contract negotiation?
Well, this is my thing. Had we done this last year, do you realize how much less competition we'd have for a head coach? Think about the fact that Penn State's open. That's a top 15 job. Auburn might be about to become open. That's a top 15 job.
Florida State
may be open if they can come up with $100 million. That'll be a top 15 job. UCLA's already open. North Carolina may end up open. There's just so many jobs this year. LSU, in theory, could be open. Oklahoma State, it's not in the same realm as Florida, but it's open. Think about last year who Florida would have had to compete with. Basically nobody, This was such a tactical error, and I understand that we were hoping we had turned that corner, but in hindsight, we could have saved ourselves. We still could have gotten Lane last year, and we could have saved so much money. And now we are going to, if we are serious, get into a massive bidding war. And that is, whoever we get is going to get paid so much more than we would have had to pay them last year.
That's my point, is no matter who, all those names that we went over, the only way that it gets a little bit lower would be Brent Key, Fran Brown, Rhett, Kenny. They'll be in a lesser, they're still going to be probably in the 9 to 10 range, but Eli, Marcus, and Lane are all going to be in the top 5. It's just, they have, they have the flexing power to be able to ask for it. And it's just money, Florida, just
monopoly money.
Pony up.
The Penn State job coming open when it did kind of reset the market here and kind of screwed everybody else, because even if you were a coach that weren't considering taking another job, you see what happened and how somebody that was seemingly, in a great situation, this is somebody that was in the semifinal last year, could be fired. You want to go back and make sure that you have even more job security. So then we're seeing some of these jobs for people that we weren't even interested in, getting renegotiated, which just ups the entire market. But Florida is a top 15, I would argue a top 10 job. And I could definitely think that whoever becomes the next coach is going to argue that they should have top 10 money, no matter who it is.
Side note, Hugh Hathcock told Tim Brando he's clueless on
I
Twitter.
saw that. I
Did
saw
you?
that. Brando like hates us all. It's very intriguing to me.
I'll tag you in it.
Yeah,
I'll tag
the whole thing that what irritates me because he immediately throws a top. I was trying to read his spiel and I was like I could care less what this old dude has to say. What's funny, I saw Brando on TV. I didn't know he still called games because I've seen clips of Brando go on these shows and like ramble. I'm like, this is some old dude that just like pops from shows and gets to just be pissed off now. Like, cool, whatever. I don't care. But I saw him calling games. I'm like, damn, I didn't realize this. This guy was extremely like, I would say opinionated. How is he still able to go and do play-by-play when you like? In my eyes, the play-by-play guys are, and I know Kirk does it, but I know people hate Kirk. I think Kirk does a good job of playing the referee card, right? Like he has his fandom for sure, which I think that's what makes it. But he's color commentary, which you want that. It's like Troy Aikman, the Joe Bucks of the world. Those guys, Al Michaels, like they're supposed to be neutral. Like I don't want to know anything about you. Like you just come on my TV screen at night and you just speak sweet music to me. When you start going off tangents and start having opinions, it's like Reese Davis. Like we love Reese because it's just like this guy is just a straight shooter. He had a couple opinions during the playoffs, which they were kind of needed. But you know what I'm saying? Like just the right amount of doses. Tim Brando popping off. I'm like, get this guy off my TV screen. I don't even know what game he was calling now that I think about it. It might have been UAB and FIU because maybe they just don't care anymore. They're just run out of people. So that's how he has a job. But I'm like, how do you have a job being this in that particular job is all that I was upset about. What do I know? I'm just some toxic fan.
Thing I think is interesting is his largest argument is you remove Florida's two winningest coaches and they're a mediocre program. But tell me who that isn't true for. Like, you remove Saban and Bear Bryant, and Alabama's a mediocre program. You remove Bobby Bowden and Jimbo Fisher, and Florida State is a mediocre program. Like, it's pretty difficult to point to a program where if you remove their top two winningest coaches, you are still left with a program with huge championship tradition. So it's such a false argument to me that
Ohio State's probably the only one that's maintained their realm.
Michigan, I'd have to go back and look at
They've won games, but I was arguing with my buddy the other day about it. Michigan, outside of the last in 2023, they hadn't won since 1988.
Yeah. I mean, they haven't. It's not anything recent. But I just think it's such a flawed argument because you could make it for pretty much everybody. And you can't, with a straight face, tell me that in the NIL era, Ole Miss and Florida are an equal job. And so there's no reason for him to consider. Now, there are two like kind of distinct lines of thought. Maybe you're a coach who is making a shit ton of money, loves the city you live in, and is comfortable with job security. And if that's you, I can't argue with that. I think that there are coaches like that. I think about Kurt Ferenz at Iowa. But for the vast majority of these guys, they are so competitive and have egos. All of these head coaches have egos where they want to prove that they can get to the promised land, which is why they leave. It's why Dan Mullen leaves Mississippi State, where he could still be to this day, and they'd probably rename the streets after him. But that's why you leave that job and try to come to Florida, even if you fail, because you want to win championships. I think that Lane is probably wired more like that than the Kurt Ferenz, and we're about to find out. But, you cannot argue with me that all things are equal at those two places. That is just a stupid argument that he's making.
On that note, I think you make a good point about, again, like, DMO leave Mississippi State. He could have had a statue built. And Tim Brando said this, but left because he wanted to taste the blood, wanted to get closer to the sun. And Lane is in a very similar situation. He wants to get closer to the sun.
And most coaches will pick that way. You have to have a screw loose to be a head coach.
Yeah, you want that in a coach.
High level.
Yeah.
My question, playing devil's advocate, could he become a Dan Mullen 2.0 in a bad way?
He could. That's the risk that you take. He could. I mean, think about, I think you could say this about almost every single coach that Florida has had, successful or not. Steve Spurrier, left Duke to come to Florida. he would have been, I mean, he probably is still the winningest coach they'd have. I'd have to go look up the records from way back then. But like, he could have done that, but he wanted to take the risk. And thankfully for us, it worked out. Urban Meyer could have stayed at Utah. He'd still be the coach at Utah, but he didn't. He wanted to take the risk and come to Florida. I think we see this, a new challenge. The top of the mountain is how all of these guys, for the most part, are wired. I mean, we've seen Cignetti wants to stay in Indiana, and, you know, every once in a while they're going to go to the playoffs. I doubt they'll ever put together a team that'll actually win a championship, but he's going to sleep in millions of dollars a night every night to keep him warm, and he's fine with it. You know, there's few that we can point to, but I think most of them chase getting too close to the sun.
They in a way they enjoy the toxicity. Go ahead, Dave.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, I was just agreeing.
Oh, their super chat Dubster says $2. Eric for special teams coach. Thoughts on that one, Allie?
Somebody called me today, a former player, and we was like, I want to be the offensive coordinator. We're going to get Spikes to say as defensive coordinator, and Eric and you are just coming to Gainesville so he can coach special teams. I was like, okay. Sure.
I would love to see Eric on the sidelines. I know he's got fire. Like that special teams unit would be kicking ass.
11 guys, Allie? 11 guys?
11 every single time, or okay. He'd be in jail probably.
Okay. $5 from Justin Hunt. If you ain't on the lane train, you can kiss the caboose.
Put that on the back of the shirt.
Oh my gosh, Steve. I mean, I gotta order my conductor outfit. I think at this point, you know.
I think you got to put that on the back of the shirt where you had your train logo.
Okay.
If you do that, send me one.
Deal. Is it too early to make lane merch, or should we just start the propaganda movement now?
I mean, we started now. I saw Bob Stoops shirts for 2 different times when they ended up hiring Zook and they ended up hiring Meyer. Those shirts existed.
Okay, all right. They're being released after this show, boys. Fire up the lane. Fire up the engine, boys. All aboard. I gotta install a train. Should we just full snip and install my?
Do one of those ceiling ones that go like around the room. So every time like you're doing a live show with Cody and they score a touchdown, just set that baby off. Just let it go. Just
your wife will be super when the baby is awake from that.
Yeah, get you a
I'm
fog
not worried
machine.
about the baby. It's for lane. See, Dan says it's early, but Dan's just he's soft. All right, he's burned a little bit, you know.
He's trying to save you money right now, you know. I mean, you know, you can only make so much of the high top merch, man. You got to
look. I think these guys are right on we didn't put out the Billy Eve shirts, and I think they were right on that one. I do feel like we could. It might be a bit too early, you know. It says all aboard. We're trying to enable the train.
It becomes a collector's item. It's fine.
It's an error, right?
Did? Like, so you know our Spot the Ball T-shirt where it has like the list of the games on the back? I almost circled the Mississippi State game with like a marker and put Napier's last game. I almost did that. I should have.
Look, the chat says we need the shirt, and the chat knows more than Dan. Well, I think we've covered everything here on today's show for our first Hot Board 1.0. Is there anything I'm missing that was important today outside of Billy G taking over? Russ Calloway will be calling the calls, calling the plays. Do we really feel like it's going to be different in 2 weeks? I think that's a healthy conversation before we wrap up.
Depends on how it's all about timing though too. It depends on how fast things work, and I'm sure we're going to know before the public knows anyway, right? And it's going to leak. Somebody's going to leak it. You already know it. Like they leaked Billy Napier getting fired.
No. I'm talking about the play calling in 2 weeks.
Oh, I think it'll be somewhat. It'll be a little different. Let's see how many players are healthy and come back. That's going to be a huge portion of this. The injury list is a mile long at this moment. I think that this is interesting because we're going to see what this team looks like where they have a head coach and an offensive coordinator that are actually 2 separate brains, which is part of why I love the Billy G as the head coach, because guess what? Russ can focus on the job of calling plays instead of trying to manage everything else that comes with being a head coach. I think it's too hopeful to think that it will be drastically different. But I'm still excited to see, Georgia Kirby Smart's the best active coach in college football, in my opinion, right now. So I think that he is always going to be tough to beat, but I still think this Georgia team has chinks in the armor more so this year than in other years. So if there was going to be a year to pull something off, it would be this. This is not me predicting that that's going to happen, but every game left, Florida's going to have a chance.
I mean, I think that's kind of how I feel. I think that it has an opportunity to be different. I think the biggest change is, I think what we'll notice right away is just the certain play calls on 3rd and 16 and 3rd and 2, and just the management of the game as a whole. I think we're going to feel a drastic change. I hope we do. If we don't, then it's going to be kind of scary. I think we'll feel, look, I'm not thinking we're going to, all of a sudden it's going to look like a Lane Kiffin offense, but I think there'll be a few changes that I will say, I think we should be excited going into Saturday or 2 Saturdays from now. One other thing to talk about, and I think that and maybe Shirkland just stumbled into this, kind of like Jordan Castell got the interception a few weeks ago, just wrong place, right time kind of thing. These new rules that have changed with NIL are extremely beneficial in Florida's favor as a whole. And a lot of people are like, hey, who do we want to stay? Who thinks is going to leave? Like, these guys can't go anywhere until January. Like, they're locked in, and then they have 15 days. So we have, of course, until unless a coach is hired, then they only have 15 days to move at that point, which is very beneficial. Because that was always a big concern to me, why I didn't want to get rid of a coach or get rid of Billy, because it felt like if your coach was gone, like your whole thing was just going to get pillaged, and you can't reset. Where like the whole like Rook to Urban thing, like that's not possible anymore. You kind of feel like you're in that a little bit. Right? Like, not to the fullest extremist. I feel like almost a better option, because the guy gets to come in, look at the talent that he wants, keep it, but then also go fix some holes that Urban couldn't fix.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's nice because the kids get to hear who the guy is before they decide if they're getting in the portal. And you have to think that there are at least a couple names on this list that most everybody would be pumped is coming to Gainesville. If you committed to Billy Napier and his offense, you got to be over the moon to think about playing for Lane Kiffin's offense. So, I think that helps in a huge way, because you're not running away from the unknown. You're running away from a very specific person if you decide to get into the transfer portal. So I think that's incredibly advantageous for Florida. And I mean, you've got to think that any coach looking at this job has to be licking their chops at the talent that is there and has a belief in himself to retain whatever of it that he wants to retain, which if you're coming from Ole Miss, you want to retain pretty much all of this. You want to get some offensive linemen. There's some places you want some depth, but you have to be pretty happy about that. But any of these kids that would have transferred right away, I've covered recruiting in some capacity for literally 20 years. And any recruit I've ever talked to, I've always told them to commit to the program, not the individual. I think there are very few exceptions to that. Quarterback is probably one of them. If you guy comes in, runs completely different scheme than the guy that you committed to, I can understand getting in the portal. There are specific instances, but in general, you will be better off if you commit to the school instead of committing to the individual.
Will Griffin told, can we do this, Dave? Can you talk about this, Will Griffin?
Oh, yeah, I'll give a little nugget, man. So I posted it on High Top Discord, and I'm always updating it with stuff in there. So if you guys haven't joined, join. But I did have a conversation with Nick Griffin, and he did say Will Griffin's still 100% Florida. So yeah, he's 100%.
Quarterback's coach. Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, and I did remind him about the body paint because he's still going to do that. So.
Good.
Will's quarterback coach lives a couple houses down from me. He's a friend of mine. I used to call games with him, and he's coached Will since he was 6. And I mean, he's been saying for years that this was Will's dream school, well before he ever committed to us, well before he was even had an offer from Florida. I think that this is a very similar to, the concept of Vernell Brown or Miles Graham, or somebody that, like, he's not a legacy, but he wants to be in orange and blue. And so I think it would take more to scare him off, for sure.
Big compliment. When Penn State lost James Franklin, there was a mass exodus of commitments from the 2027 class. Nothing has happened yet at Florida. And I think that the reason for that is we had Corey on the show just the other night talk about those recruits, those current commits, and they're like waiting to see who the next coach is going to be. And if all basically said is Lane, I'm in. And given the fact, I mean, sure, they're hearing stuff, they're asking questions and talking to people too. They're probably feeling quite confident of who that next coach is going to be at this moment. And I think, again, we're kind of, we're just trying to tie leaves together of who it's going to be. Obviously, we don't know. And I think this is a good question from Big Blue Horses. High Top still hasn't explained why they think Strickland is going to pony up. He never has. He has never had a big splash hire. He's failed on previous 2 head coaches. I think this is a very good question. I haven't explained it because I don't have the answers. And the reason why I kind of put the joke of James Franklin, there is that concern that, that could happen. Now, Dave spoke about some changes happening. Ali has spoke about some changes happening. Dan has come on the show and talked about how there's just kind of a new regime of there's a flip happening. Now, you can talk about a lot of things. We've heard a lot. The question is going to be, is there going to be any action? Is there any more? Is kind of that where we're at? Ali, I'll let you go, and then Dave, you can kind of talk to some more about what you were saying to that.
So I don't know that I think it's fair to say Strickland has never ponied up. I mean, he never maybe has. He's paying Napier an insane amount of money with a ridiculous amount of money that
to the roster,
I wish there was
to the
sort of
staff
outlaw
too
for us and to the staff as well. And I think when you look at what he spent on facilities, what he's about to spend on the stadium renovation, I actually think it's probably more fair to say that Strickland spends like a drunken sailor than it is to say he's cheap. But I do think it is true that he has not landed. We don't necessarily know who he's gone after, but he has not landed a big fish in his, in his coaching hires. I mean, maybe you can argue Mullen was at the time, but I don't think him coming from Mississippi State, it makes Dan a big fish. This is an easy in the bag grab for me. I already know this guy. But I think there's pressure from boosters this time around. I think there's pressure from people that spend the dollars. I think you need the dollars now more than ever because of the NIL era that we're in. And I'm not 100% convinced that Strickland will be making this decision completely on his own.
Well said. I think, yeah. Go ahead, Davey.
Yeah, dude, I'll add on to that a little bit. And I'm not going to say that I know 100% or anything like that, but I think Strickland's kind of starting to see, with the pressure mounting up that like, okay, it's time for us to turn a corner now. Like, and I think that now is the time that like he really needs to turn the corner anyway, because this is going to be his 3rd coaching hire. But I think just all the pressure of that.
3 coaches.
Yeah, exactly. So he has to land this next hire. Like it's very vital for him to do so. And plus, like Ali said, I think there's a lot of big 7-figure booster pressure on top of him as well. So I think that's why you're starting to see some of the changes in the UAA and some of the changes of I guess choice or whatever in coaches and some of the candidates. And a lot of boosters have ponied up right now. So we'll see what happens.
Couple super chats, and there's a phenomenal super chat here in just a minute. Great question. I think these are all good. They're all healthy. $2 shall need to conduct your hat and horn. It's already on the way. I told the wife we share Amazon. I go, baby. She goes, what? We're being cars for Halloween. I go, hey, baby, it's not for Halloween. It's for the boys. $2. We're about to be going 5 wide, family. $2. Oh no!
Listen, Billy G wants to highlight those wide receivers.
Yeah, true. No more jet sweeps on 4th down. I hope not. $2 from Go Gators. Lane would walk to Gainesville. I'm reading the Long Walk right now by Stephen King, and that's I saw that.
I'll tell you what, he's gonna be walking on a long trail of money. That's gonna be a good trail right there. And you know what's funny? Like there was other people. It's like I'm not for like. We'll make jokes about Napier, but we're not like personally attacking the guy, right? But people are like, "Oh, you shouldn't make fun of somebody that gets hired." I was like, when they make
Fired.
$20 million, when they get when they get fired, they make $20 million. All bets are.
We're in the entertainment business. We have fun. Like I wish nothing ill will on this man. Like he's fine.
No,
he'll be fine. He's gonna be just fine. I know it sucks. It's sour for everybody involved. It hurts, but. We move on, we pick up, we keep rocking and rolling. Ira Jones, $5. I really hope if we get Lane, he retains Billy Gonzalez. That would be great, a game changer, in my opinion. It's definitely. I mean, look, we'll see. Maybe he sells himself here in the next couple of weeks, and then Amazon 3D, Amazing 3DG said, "Hey, Dan Thompson, shove it to $100 for the Lane Train shirts." So at this point, I think Dan doesn't have any voice here. Okay, Dan.
Hey, we have our own boosters raising money for the Lane Train shirts.
Oh man, amazing 3DG. You are amazing.
This has got to be done now. You know that, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's they'll be live after the show. I'm not gonna mess around any longer. $5. No decommits because Billy recruits kids that want to play for the school. And look, that's kind of what I said at the beginning of the show. Is I think he's done a good job of going after guys and instilling. You're playing more for me and these people. You're playing for your brothers. You're playing for the. And it's crazy. This place is nuts. But that's why you come here, and I want you to come here because of that. And probably lost some recruits because of that. But now we're sitting in a place where we can build. $2 from Rolling with Carlos. Offensive tackle Tyler, I can't say it, is visiting North Carolina. Look, a couple of guys are visiting. It's going to happen. I mean, I expected him to. It's better than decommitting.
Sometimes even when the coach isn't changing. I mean, that's the name of the
I
game.
saw that, and that didn't bother me at all. I mean, North Carolina.
You know, I just thought about it.
Dan said, "Make the damn shirts. I need a large."
Hey, I just thought about it though. I'm gonna have to make a new video now. Like I can't go. Here comes the money. I can't do that anymore.
Yeah, we got a lot of. We got to rotate the memes out. We got to rotate the gifs. All kinds of things. Well, this was a great show, Allie. Pleasure as always. Thank you for hanging out with us and giving us your time. It's been appreciated as always. Swolder for coming in.
Yep.
Allie, tell them where they can find you. Obviously, someone yelled at me, said you beat me to the punch again today, and I was like, I was live during the firing. How did she beat me?
Because I recorded something at 8:00 this morning. And had it
you hit go. Okay, okay.
Yeah,
you did beat me. Damn you! I gotta get up earlier. I
do
guess.
think that's hilarious that people. Yeah, I try to avoid the comments a lot of times on YouTube because some of them I'll just get fixated on, and
it gets bad.
So I try not to, but I did look at some of them today, and there are definitely people that think you and I are very ungrateful for Billy Napier, and we should just be happy that we had a nice man leading our boys, and that the record should matter less. And they were literally like, "You and High Top are so ungrateful," in multiple comments.
I was like, I feel like it's like when I see that, it's like, did you never watch a show? I was like, I got skull dragged because of my overwhelming support for the man.
I routinely would have comments back to back that would be like, "You're lying to us. You're way too positive, and why do you only look at the negatives?" And they would literally always fall back to back. And you're like, does this mean I'm doing it right? If 50% of you think I'm too nice, and 50% of you think
have
I'm
it tough.
mean, I'm not really sure. But
yeah,
I don't know.
I even reached
social media. I think that was the
ahead.
question.
Yeah. Where at? go leave the negative comments on Allie. She filters our bad comments. Go leave them there.
At Allie _peak on X. You can find me at Peak Inside Florida Gator Football on YouTube, or you can find me hanging out here on Sunday. Apparently,
yeah, it's her new home.
Just hang out. Yeah, I mean, like this is her second home. She's always welcome. Like Allie's always welcome on High Top.
More than Dave. Adam Krill, I'm right in the middle of it. It is juicy, guys. Real quick, if you guys are like a book nerd and want a good book to read, I've already said this, but go read Hail Mary. It's an absolute banger.
I'm actually shocked that you're a book nerd.
At times, I mean, when I can, I get after it. I love to just like get after it, and I'm usually kind of like a nerd in the sense of like self growth and like those kind of things, but that gets old after a while. So I kind of went off this tangent of just.
Do you actually like physically read the book, or are you listening to Audible while you're doing something else?
Both. So okay. I'm reading a couple. So I read this one. This one's sick. This one's Small Things. So I read this book. Like Small, I Carry on the House. I crushed it in like a day because it was so good. Green Lights from Matthew McConaughey. Best book ever. Read it. And like I heard him reading it to me, and I found out he read it. So then I listened to it as well because it's just that good. Like that's a book you can read like every so often and pick stuff up on it because it's about him growing up. Hail Mary, you have to listen to it because it's about like physics and quantum physics, all that. I'm not like just big words, and you would just be like you would die trying to comprehend it. Hearing it is much better. It's like Interstellar in a book but better. It's so good. It's like incredibly good.
So you would think with how much Shelton reads, he wouldn't misspell stuff all the time.
Well, I just told you I listened to a lot of it. All right. And why I spell bad is I kind of skip over stuff. Like sometimes I got to reread some. I had no idea what I just read there. So
it's okay. I read the back of like nutrition labels. So I guess that's reading, right?
Same
I
thing.
just never have two free hands. So if I am listening, if I'm going to read a book, it's actually going to be me listening to it while I'm like driving or doing dishes or, something else. I don't ever have the free time, 1, 2, free time with 2 hands. But have you ever read Outliers?
Yes, great book. I love that book. So
That's like my.
there was
I
one
think
of the,
every parent should be required to read that before having children.
yeah, I tell Caitlin about that all the time. I tell people about the book all the time about like how certain kids are having success because of when they were born and how I've told Caitlin, I was like, we're holding Beckett back. He's gonna be the big kid in the group.
Hadley and Hayden, late August, they took a victory lap in VPK, and
It's
telling you,
huge. You listen,
best-
it's crazy when you like, and the fact of like just being born. Like you talked about how, again, we're off tangent here, boys, but it's just fun stuff. How like Bill Gates and these guys are born at just a certain time to be able to capitalize on. Because if they're born 10 years earlier, 10 years later, we don't have Bill Gates. Like it's just crazy how these things work. But yeah, it's a really
But
good
I
book.
think the crux of it is 10,000 hours. You have to put the work in. Nobody
sure.
is just handed success. You have to put the work in.
For sure. I don't know where we're
8-phase
going.
process.
I don't know where we're
Not really Napier's process, though. There is a time period when you have to reevaluate the process.
Justin says $2. If you make a shirt, I need a large. We're sending out a lot of shirts. No more worrying about the analytics. I love it.
Well, the analytics told us we should have fired him a while ago, and we didn't listen to the analytics there either. So
Sheldon can't see well. Eyebrows get in the way. Oh, I love it. The Bible's a good book too. Bible's a good book too. Those are good ones too. I read
You
those
need to
in
get like
chunks.
some of that. You know how they have like the beard stuff that you can put in your beard. Need some for like the
beard
eyebrows.
oil.
there
Like,
is such thing as eyebrow wax that does exist.
What's wrong with my eyebrows, y'all? Chill out. I clean them up.
I wasn't saying anything was wrong about it. He just was saying that
I
you
know.
should use some of this product for your beard, but the actual product exists for your eyebrows if you wanted it.
I was trying to help the man out, make him look a little bit, let him
So
shine, a little
people
clean.
obviously are like weird about their hairline and things, and you kind of have, what's the word I'm looking for? I just talked about reading a book and I can't even get a word out. Self-conscious of their hairline and just certain things. I've never been self-conscious as much crap as I get about my eyebrows. No, I mean, I'm still self-conscious. I mean, I have things that I'm self-conscious about. Now my eyebrows, though. Like, I don't know what it is. Listen, I know I kind of have a lot of hubris, but I'm still soft, okay? All right? Still very sensitive too, boys. But the
Like a
eyebrow
teddy
thing
bear.
is just, I don't think they're bushy. I mean, they're bushier than the normal, but I don't feel like they're that egregious. Now, when I look at me compared to other people, yeah, they're out there, but I love my eyebrows. I love the fact that I have 3 colors. I have blonde, black, and red. Okay, so one of a kind.
Wow.
You're welcome.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, see, like that's rare. What color are your eyes, man? Blue, green?
Yeah, like a hazel. Yeah.
Yeah, see, there you go. So you got all sorts of color going on, and bushiness.
I'm beautiful. That's what my mom told me, anyways.
Yeah.
All right, we got to end the show,
B&B.
I think.
Yeah, we probably do.
Alley Peak, fantastic as always. Dave Swolder bringing it. We're live tomorrow, 9:35, recapping these games from yesterday. And live tomorrow, 8:05, Champs Corner. Graham Hall joins us. We are rolling, boys. Y'all be good, be safe. Peace and love.
Top sports where the takes don't miss. The prof with the stats, the champ with the fist. Water bringing fire,
You
cowboys
suck.
out riding bold. Bulls calling bets, watch the stories unfold.